Before you spend another penny, stop and watch this. Some ordinary-looking wheat pennies have sold for hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million. The coin hiding in your pocket, an old piggy bank, or a forgotten jar could change your financial future. Today, we're revealing the hardest to find wheat pennies that collectors are willing to pay a fortune for. Let's see if you own one of these hidden treasures. Have you ever stopped to think that a single penny sitting forgotten in an old jar could be worth more than a luxury home? It sounds impossible, but for a small number of collectors, that impossible moment has already become reality. Every year, people unknowingly spend coins that serious numismatists would pay thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, to own. That's because most people see only 1 cent, while collectors see history, rarity, and hidden value. And today, we're uncovering one of the most fascinating examples of that possibility: the 1953 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny. While millions were produced at the Denver Mint, a tiny number possess extraordinary characteristics that have turned ordinary pocket change into legendary collectibles. Before you dismiss that old penny in your drawer, remember this: someone somewhere has unknowingly spent a fortune simply because they didn't know what they were holding. The story of the 1953 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny begins during one of America's most prosperous decades. The nation was recovering from World War II, families were growing, businesses were expanding, and billions of coins flowed through everyday commerce. The Denver Mint struck well over 700 million Lincoln Wheat Pennies in 1953, making the date itself appear incredibly common. At first glance, that production number would suggest there is nothing special about this coin. But experienced collectors know that rarity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes, it's about surviving in extraordinary condition or displaying spectacular mint errors that almost never escaped into circulation. This is where the story becomes truly fascinating. Most 1953 D pennies entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint. They bought candy, gasoline, newspapers, and cups of coffee. Over decades, they became scratched, worn, corroded, or simply disappeared. Finding one today is easy. Finding one in pristine, untouched condition is another story entirely. But discovering one with a dramatic mint error is like finding a ghost hiding in plain sight. Now here's something you should think about. If you have a jar of old wheat pennies sitting somewhere in your house, why not pause this video later and examine them carefully? Many collectors discovered valuable coins only because curiosity got the better of them. Hidden treasures rarely announce themselves. They wait patiently for someone who knows exactly what to look for. So, what separates an ordinary 1953 D wheat penny worth only a few cents from one that could command astonishing prices? The answer lies in several incredibly rare minting varieties and production mistakes that transformed a common coin into an elite collector's prize. The first feature experts search for is a strong repunched mint mark, commonly called an RPM. During the early 1950s, mint marks were punched into coin dies by hand before production began. Occasionally, the punch landed slightly off target, forcing mint workers to strike the die again. When the impressions failed to line up perfectly, a visible doubling appeared around the D mint mark. Under magnification, collectors may notice extra outlines or tiny shadows around the letter. While minor repunched mint marks are collectible, bold and dramatic examples attract significant premiums because they represent a fascinating piece of mint history. Another highly desirable variety involves double die characteristics. Unlike mechanical doubling, a true double die originates during the creation of the die itself. Portions of the lettering, date, or Lincoln's portrait may display distinct separation visible under magnification. Strong examples reveal clear doubling on words like liberty or in God we trust. Authentic double dies are considerably scarcer than ordinary coins and remain among the most respected varieties in American numismatics. Then there are off-center strikes. Imagine an entire coin being struck while slightly misaligned inside the press. The result is a dramatic blank crescent along one edge, while part of the design shifts toward the opposite side. The greater the off-center percentage, provided the date and mint mark remain visible, the more desirable the coin becomes. These errors are visually stunning because no two examples are exactly alike. Collectors also prize broad strikes, where the retaining collar fails during the striking process. Without the collar keeping the metal confined, the coin expands beyond its intended diameter, creating a noticeably larger and thinner appearance. Although broad strikes are uncommon across all Lincoln Wheat Pennies, certified examples from the 1953 issue continue attracting strong collector interest. Another remarkable error is the clipped planchet. Before striking, blank coin discs are punched from long sheets of metal. Occasionally, the punches overlap, leaving one blank with a crescent-shaped section missing. After striking, the finished coin permanently displays that missing portion. Genuine clipped planchets possess distinctive metal flow characteristics that professional grading services use to authenticate these fascinating mistakes. Perhaps the most exciting discoveries involve die cracks, retained cuds, and major die breaks. As coin dies aged under tremendous pressure, they sometimes fractured. These breaks created raised lines, unusual lumps, or missing design sections on struck coins. While minor cracks are relatively common, large dramatic die breaks are much scarcer and often become highly sought-after conversation pieces among advanced collectors. But here's where things become even more interesting. Condition often matters just as much as the error itself. A spectacular mint error hidden beneath decades of heavy wear may still be valuable, but the same error preserved in mint state condition becomes exponentially more desirable. Professional grading services examine every tiny detail, including luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and eye appeal. The difference between a coin graded MS-63 and one graded MS-67 can represent thousands, or sometimes hundreds of thousands, of dollars in additional value. Now ask yourself one simple question. When was the last time you looked closely at the pennies in your possession? Most people glance at the date and move on. Collectors study every letter, every number, every tiny imperfection because sometimes that imperfection is exactly what creates extraordinary value. Of course, not every internet claim about million-dollar pennies is accurate. Headlines often exaggerate values to grab attention. In reality, the market rewards only the rarest combinations of exceptional preservation, authenticated mint errors, and outstanding collector demand. That's why professional certification from respected grading companies is essential before assigning any significant value. Even so, the market for elite Lincoln Wheat Pennies has never lost its appeal. Wealthy collectors continue competing for the finest known examples because they understand an important principle. Rarity cannot be manufactured after the fact. Every year, more coins become damaged, cleaned, or lost forever. Meanwhile, demand for premium certified specimens continues growing as new collectors enter the hobby. Imagine discovering a nearly flawless 1953 wheat penny displaying a dramatic authenticated mint error with blazing original luster. That's the kind of combination capable of igniting bidding wars whenever it appears at major auctions. Exceptional coins are not purchased simply because they are old. They are purchased because another collector may never have another opportunity to own one quite like it. One particularly exciting estimate frequently discussed within collector circles suggests that a perfect storm of extraordinary preservation, elite grading, remarkable eye appeal, and an exceptionally rare authenticated mint error could push the value of a unique 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny toward an astonishing $579,000 in the right auction environment. That figure represents the absolute upper end of the market, reserved only for an extremely rare, certified specimen with exceptional characteristics. While the overwhelming majority of 1953 pennies are worth far less, this possibility illustrates just how dramatically rarity and quality can transform a humble 1-cent coin into a six-figure collectible. Here's something almost everyone overlooks. The coin doesn't have to shine like new to deserve attention. Even circulated examples can display important varieties or genuine mint errors. Never assume a worn coin has no value simply because it has spent decades changing hands. Some of the most exciting discoveries began as dirty pennies found inside forgotten coffee cans, inherited collections, or old dresser drawers. Let's have a little fun for a moment. Somewhere across America, there's probably someone using a rare wheat penny to pay for a vending machine snack today. Imagine trading away a coin worth thousands just to buy a candy bar. It sounds unbelievable, yet stories like that continue reminding collectors why every old coin deserves a second look. The excitement surrounding the Lincoln Wheat series continues growing because these coins connect ordinary Americans with extraordinary history. Every scratch tells a story. Every mint error represents a split-second mistake inside the mint that escaped quality control decades ago. Every surviving high-grade example becomes increasingly important as time passes. That's why experienced collectors remain patient. They understand that treasure hunting isn't about luck alone. It's about knowledge. If you own old family coin albums, inherited collections, estate boxes, or jars filled with forgotten pennies, now is the perfect time to inspect them carefully. Use proper lighting. Examine the date. Confirm the D mint mark beneath the year. Look closely for doubling, repunched mint marks, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, die cracks, or any feature that seems unusual. If something catches your eye, resist the temptation to clean the coin. Cleaning almost always reduces collector value. Instead, protect it carefully and consider professional authentication. The hidden wealth inside America's pocket change has inspired generations of collectors because remarkable discoveries continue happening even today. Every year, previously unknown varieties emerge from forgotten collections, proving that history still has secrets waiting to be uncovered. The next extraordinary discovery could be sitting inside your home at this very moment, unnoticed for decades. As we wrap up today's journey into the remarkable world of the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, remember the lesson that separates collectors from spenders. One person sees 1 cent. Another sees history, craftsmanship, rarity, and opportunity. Knowledge changes everything. The more you learn about coins, the greater your chances of recognizing hidden value before someone else does. And if today's story surprised you, you're going to want to stay with us because our next episode explores another legendary American coin that has stunned the collecting world with breathtaking auction prices, astonishing mint errors, and a history even more mysterious than the 1953 D Wheat Penny. You won't want to miss what could be the next hidden treasure waiting quietly in someone's pocket change. What if I told you that a single Lincoln Wheat penny sitting unnoticed in an old coffee can, a forgotten piggy bank, or even mixed with loose change in your kitchen drawer could be worth as much as $650,000? It sounds unbelievable, but history has proven that extraordinary coins have surfaced in the most ordinary places. Every year, collectors discover rare treasures hiding in plain sight because millions of people spend coins without ever examining them closely. That's the difference between a spender and a collector. One person sees only 1 cent. The other sees the possibility of a life-changing discovery. And today, we're diving deep into one of the most mysterious and talked about coins among serious numismatists, the 1954 D Lincoln Wheat Penny. While most examples are common, a tiny handful featuring extraordinary mint errors and exceptional preservation have become legendary. Before another penny disappears into circulation forever, let's uncover what makes this humble coin capable of commanding astonishing prices. The Lincoln Wheat Penny has always occupied a special place in American coin collecting. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, it became the first regular United States circulating coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the Wheat Penny remained in production until 1958 before the reverse design changed to the Lincoln Memorial. During those decades, billions of pennies were produced, but only a microscopic percentage developed the characteristics that collectors now pursue with incredible determination. Among them stands the 1954 D Wheat Penny, struck at the Denver Mint during a period when production demands were exceptionally high. In 1954, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. On the surface, that seems to eliminate any possibility of rarity. After all, how could such a common date coin become valuable? The answer lies not in the date itself, but in the rare combination of minting mistakes, surviving condition, and collector demand. Most 1954 D pennies entered circulation immediately, where decades of handling erased nearly every trace of their original brilliance. Today, finding one in pristine condition is remarkably difficult. Finding one with a dramatic mint error is exponentially harder. Now here's something many people don't realize. Not all errors are created equal. Tiny imperfections that occur after a coin leaves the mint rarely add value. However, Genuine mint errors created during production can transform an ordinary penny into an object that advanced collectors compete fiercely to own. That's where the real excitement begins. Let's pause for just a moment. If you have a jar of old pennies somewhere in your home, this is the perfect time to remember where it is. Thousands of collectors have ignored jars of pennies for years, only to discover later that they unknowingly spent valuable coins. Don't let that happen to you. One of the most sought-after characteristics on the 1954 Wheat Penny is a strong repunched mint mark. During the 1950s, mint marks were punched manually into working dies. Occasionally, the punch shifted slightly between strikes, leaving multiple impressions of the D. Under magnification, collectors may observe extra outlines or overlapping details around the mint mark. Well-defined examples are exceptionally scarce and generate significant excitement whenever they appear on the market. Another fascinating error involves dramatic die cracks and retained cud formations. As dies aged and experienced tremendous pressure, microscopic fractures gradually expanded. Eventually, raised lines appeared on the finished coins where metal flowed into those cracks. Some advanced collectors actively pursue spectacular die crack examples because every crack represents a unique stage in the life of a working die. No two are exactly alike, making each discovery feel like uncovering a fingerprint from the mint itself. Then there are off-center strikes. Imagine an entire planchet entering the striking chamber slightly misaligned. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered design, the coin emerges with part of its image missing while still displaying the complete date. The more dramatic the misalignment, the more desirable the coin becomes, especially when the date remains fully visible. These dramatic errors instantly capture attention because they are obvious even to non-collectors. Collectors also search relentlessly for double die characteristics. Although the 1954 D is not famous for a major double die variety comparable to some legendary Lincoln cents, minor hub doubling and double design elements occasionally appear. Under magnification, slight separation can sometimes be seen within letters, numbers, or Lincoln's portrait. Authentication is critical because machine doubling can easily be mistaken for true hub doubling. Another category involves broad strikes. When the retaining collar fails during striking, the metal spreads beyond its normal diameter. The result is a penny lacking its standard raised rim while appearing wider and thinner than usual. These dramatic production mistakes are genuine mint errors and attract considerable interest among specialists. Perhaps even more exciting are clipped planchets. Before striking, blank metal discs are punched from long strips of copper alloy. Occasionally, a blank overlaps the edge of the strip, leaving a curved section missing. Once struck, the coin permanently displays that distinctive curved clip. Authentic clipped planchets exhibit specific physical characteristics that professional grading services examine carefully before certification. Here's another question worth asking yourself. When was the last time you actually looked closely at the pennies in your wallet? Most people glance only at the date if they look at all. Serious collectors inspect every letter, every edge, every mint mark, and every tiny detail because fortunes often hide inside microscopic imperfections. Condition plays an equally important role in determining value. A heavily circulated 1954 Wheat penny might be worth only a modest premium over face value. But when an untouched example survives with blazing original mint luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually no contact marks, its desirability increases dramatically. Coins certified in elite mint state grades become fiercely contested because so few have survived in pristine condition after more than 70 years. Professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC have transformed the rare coin marketplace by providing standardized authentication and condition assessments. Collectors investing thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars depend on accurate grading. Without certification, distinguishing between an ordinary coin and an extraordinary rarity becomes significantly more difficult. Now let's talk about the phrase that captures everyone's attention: a value approaching $650,000. It's important to understand that an ordinary 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny is not worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Values in that range would require an exceptionally rare combination of factors, such as an extraordinary mint error, elite preservation, unique provenance, Or another remarkable characteristic that creates intense competition among advanced collectors. Exceptional Lincoln cents with famous errors and nearly perfect grades have achieved astonishing auction prices, which is why experts carefully inspect even seemingly ordinary coins. The right combination of rarity and demand can produce truly remarkable results. That possibility is precisely why collectors never dismiss old pennies. Every remarkable auction story began with someone recognizing what everyone else overlooked. Hidden treasures rarely announce themselves. They wait patiently until the right eyes discover them. Speaking of discoveries, one of the most fascinating aspects of the hobby is that important varieties continue to surface decades after the coins were minted. Estate collections, inherited jars, forgotten bank rolls, and untouched coin albums regularly produce surprises that experts never expected to see again. Every discovery reminds the collecting community that remarkable coins are still out there. Here's a quick reality check. Somewhere tonight, someone will empty their pockets and unknowingly spend a wheat penny without giving it a second glance. Tomorrow, another person will examine that very same coin under magnification and realize it contains an extraordinary mint error. The difference isn't luck. It's knowledge. The market for premium Lincoln wheat pennies has remained remarkably resilient because demand continues expanding while the supply of elite examples never increases. Once a rare coin enters a long-term collection, it may disappear from the marketplace for decades. That scarcity fuels intense bidding whenever another comparable example becomes available. Collectors understand that opportunities like these are exceptionally limited. Auction houses have repeatedly demonstrated how competitive the rare coin market has become. Wealthy collectors, investors, and institutions aggressively pursue the finest certified examples because top population coins represent the pinnacle of American numismatics. When multiple determined bidders compete for a genuinely exceptional coin, prices can escalate rapidly beyond initial estimates. This growing demand has inspired thousands of Americans to revisit old family collections. Grandparents who saved pennies during the 1940s and 1950s often unknowingly preserved coins that modern collectors desperately seek. Every unopened coin roll and forgotten cigar box represents another opportunity waiting to be explored. So before you dismiss another old penny as insignificant, remember the incredible journey it may have taken. It could have traveled through countless hands, survived decades of circulation, escaped melting, avoided damage, and quietly waited for someone curious enough to inspect it carefully. That story alone makes every wheat penny fascinating. Add an extraordinary mint error or remarkable preservation, and suddenly you're looking at a coin capable of commanding tremendous respect and potentially an astonishing market value. The next time you receive change at a grocery store, a gas station, or a local cafe, don't rush to toss those pennies aside. Turn them over. Look for the wheat ears. Check the date. Find the Denver mint mark. Examine the surfaces under bright light or magnification. Search for repunched mint marks, unusual doubling, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, or any feature that looks different from ordinary coins. That single minute of curiosity could be the beginning of an unforgettable discovery. The greatest treasures aren't always buried underground. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, disguised as ordinary pocket change that everyone else ignores. History has shown that extraordinary finds often belong to people who simply. And if today's story about the mysterious 1954 Lincoln wheat penny surprised you, wait until you discover the next legendary coin we'll explore. A Lincoln cent so elusive that many collectors spend decades searching without ever finding one. You won't want to miss that incredible story. What if I told you that a single penny, one that looks almost identical to thousands of others, could be worth as much as $612,000 under the right circumstances? Most people wouldn't think twice before tossing a penny into a tip jar, leaving it in a cup holder, or letting it disappear beneath the couch cushions. Collectors, however, know something very different. They understand that hidden among ordinary-looking coins are extraordinary rarities capable of changing someone's financial future forever. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck. It's knowledge. While one person spends a coin without a second thought, Another recognizes a tiny detail that transforms a single cent into one of the most desirable treasures in American numismatics. And today, we're uncovering one of those fascinating stories, the mysterious 1958 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin surrounded by myths, misconceptions, astonishing error varieties, and eye-popping values that have fueled treasure hunts across America. Before you dismiss the idea, consider this. Every year, rare coins are discovered in inherited collections, forgotten piggy banks, estate sales, old coffee cans, and even loose pocket change. Some owners have no idea they're holding something special until a careful inspection reveals a tiny minting mistake or an unusual characteristic that separates their coin from millions of ordinary examples. That's why thousands of experienced collectors continue searching through pennies every single day. They know that history has repeatedly rewarded patience and attention to detail. Now here's something that surprises many collectors. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents during 1958. On paper, that should make every 1958 D penny extremely common. And for the overwhelming majority of them, that's absolutely true. Most circulated examples are worth only a small premium over face value. But coin collecting has never been about ordinary examples. It's about the exceptions, the tiny percentage of coins that escaped the mint with remarkable errors, unusual die varieties, or extraordinary preservation that make them almost impossible to duplicate. Take a moment and think about the pennies sitting somewhere in your house right now. Maybe they're in a drawer, an old mason jar, a forgotten piggy bank, or a container in the garage. What if one of them deserves a closer look? Most people never check. Collectors always do. That simple habit has led to countless remarkable discoveries over the decades. The story of the 1958 D Wheat Penny becomes even more fascinating when you understand its historical context. The year 1958 marked the final year of the beloved wheat reverse design that had appeared on Lincoln cents since 1909. The following year would introduce the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, making every 1958 wheat penny part of the last chapter in one of America's most iconic coin series. Because it represents the end of an era, collectors have always paid special attention to coins from this final wheat cent year. The Denver Mint worked around the clock to meet the nation's growing demand for small change. Massive coin presses operated continuously, striking thousands of coins every hour. Even with strict quality control procedures, tiny mistakes occasionally slipped through. Those mistakes, once considered manufacturing defects, have become some of the most valuable collectibles in the hobby today. Among the most desirable possibilities are dramatic die cracks. A die crack develops after the hardened steel die begins to fracture from repeated use. As the crack expands, molten metal flows into the damaged area during striking, leaving raised lines across the finished coin. While minor die cracks are relatively common, extensive and dramatic examples can command significant premiums because they represent the final stages of a die's working life. Collectors also search carefully for retained die breaks and full-cut errors. These occur when part of the die actually breaks away, allowing excess metal to fill the missing section during striking. The resulting coin displays a large raised blob along the rim, creating one of the most dramatic error types found on Lincoln cents. High-grade examples featuring impressive cut formations are especially sought after because every die break progresses differently, making each piece unique. Another exciting possibility involves repunched mint marks. During the 1950s, mint marks were punched into working dies by hand before production began. Occasionally, the mint mark was punched more than once, leaving traces of multiple impressions. Under magnification, collectors search for secondary impressions surrounding the D mint mark. Strong repunched mint marks have become highly collectible because they provide direct evidence of the manual die preparation methods used during that era. Off-center strikes also capture enormous collector interest. When a planchet fails to align properly between the dies, the resulting coin displays part of its design shifted dramatically away from the center. Depending on the percentage of the off-center strike and whether the date remains visible, values can increase dramatically. Large off-center errors from the final wheat penny year continue attracting strong demand from specialists. Broad strikes represent another fascinating error category. These occur when the retaining collar fails during striking, allowing the metal to spread outward beyond its normal diameter. The finished coin appears wider, thinner, and lacks the standard raised rim. Because these errors occurred during the striking process itself, they provide fascinating insight into how the mint's machinery operated under immense production pressure. Then there are clipped planchets, one of the easiest errors for beginners to recognize. These occur before striking, when the blank metal strip is fed incorrectly into the punching machine. The resulting coin displays a missing crescent-shaped section along its edge. Authentic clips show distinctive characteristics that grading experts use to confirm their legitimacy, making them highly collectible when genuine. Now here's where the search becomes truly exciting. Condition matters almost as much as rarity. Two coins with identical dates and identical errors can have dramatically different values depending on preservation. A heavily worn example may sell for only a modest premium, while an identical coin with blazing original mint luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually flawless surfaces can command extraordinary prices in today's competitive marketplace. Professional grading services evaluate coins according to strict numerical standards. As the grade climbs into mint state territory, especially at the highest certified levels, population numbers shrink rapidly. A difference of just one grading point can sometimes mean thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars in market value. That's why experienced collectors handle potential discoveries with extreme care, avoiding cleaning or polishing, which can permanently reduce a coin's value. Let's pause for just a second. Have you checked your old coin collection lately? Or maybe there's a jar of pennies collecting dust somewhere in your home. If not, you might want to remember where you put it after this video. Hidden treasures rarely announce themselves. One of the biggest misconceptions surrounding the 1958 Wheat penny involves reports of spectacular auction prices. Headlines sometimes suggest that ordinary examples sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The reality is more nuanced. Exceptional values are typically associated with extraordinarily rare mint errors, unique varieties, or elite condition certified coins that stand far above normal circulation pieces. Those remarkable sales capture national attention because they represent the absolute pinnacle of rarity, preservation, and collector demand. Among the most famous Lincoln cent rarities from 1958 is the legendary double die obverse from the Philadelphia Mint. Because that variety receives so much publicity, many collectors automatically assume any 1958 Wheat penny could be worth a fortune. In reality, the famous double die does not apply to regular 1958 D production coins. However, Denver Mint examples with dramatic authenticated mint errors or exceptional preservation remain highly collectible and can still command impressive premiums. The coin market itself has evolved dramatically over the past decade. Online auctions now connect collectors from around the world in real time, creating fierce bidding competition for elite condition coins and spectacular mint errors. Registry-set collectors constantly compete for the finest certified examples available, pushing prices upward whenever an unusually high-grade coin appears. This intense competition explains why truly extraordinary pieces sometimes achieve astonishing auction results. Some experts believe we're living through one of the strongest periods ever for rare coin collecting. Increased public awareness, expanded online marketplaces, and growing interest in tangible assets have introduced thousands of new collectors into the hobby. Every new participant increases competition for genuinely scarce material, especially coins with compelling stories, dramatic mint errors, and historical significance. Imagine discovering a forgotten family collection that hasn't been examined for decades. Inside sits a bright red 1958 Wheat penny displaying a dramatic mint error overlooked by generations of owners. After professional authentication and grading, competitive bidding begins. Collectors across the country recognize the rarity immediately. Auction estimates climb higher and higher until the final hammer price reaches an astonishing level. Stories like these continue inspiring collectors because they remind us that remarkable discoveries still happen. While reports occasionally mention values approaching $612,000, those figures represent extraordinary circumstances involving exceptional rarity, elite certification, or historically significant error combinations, not ordinary circulated 1958 Lincoln Wheat pennies. The overwhelming majority of these coins are worth far less, but identifying a genuine high-value error or an outstanding mint state example can still be tremendously rewarding. The key is careful examination, proper authentication, and realistic expectations. If you own a 1958 Wheat Penny, begin by inspecting the surfaces under good lighting with magnification. Look carefully for unusual doubling, dramatic die cracks, cud formations, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, broad strikes, repunched mint marks, or other striking abnormalities. Avoid cleaning the coin under any circumstances. Even gentle polishing can permanently damage original surfaces and significantly reduce collector value. When in doubt, consult a reputable coin dealer or submit promising examples to a respected third-party grading service for professional evaluation. The next time someone tells you a penny isn't worth picking up, remember this story. History has repeatedly proven that extraordinary value often hides behind ordinary appearances. The greatest treasures in numismatics aren't always made of gold or silver. Sometimes they're made of humble copper, carrying decades of history, tiny manufacturing mistakes, and the power to transform a forgotten coin into a collector's dream. So before you spend another wheat penny, take a closer look. That single moment of curiosity could make all the difference between passing over history and discovering something truly remarkable. Because in the world of rare coins, knowledge is the greatest investment of all. And if you think this story is incredible, wait until you see the next coin we're uncovering. In our next episode, we'll reveal another ultra-rare American coin with an astonishing history, mysterious minting errors, and a value that has stunned collectors at auction. You won't want to miss it.